Welcome, I'm your host, Malcolm Gallagher. From our BizVision studios in the UK, you're watching the Conscious Business Show on the BVTV network. Now, when we first discussed the date of interviewing my guest today, he asked for a slight delay as he was moving house. Well, that's sensible, get unpacked, settled in, make sure the broadband's working, say hello to the neighbours, and so on. Except in my guest's case, it was a little bit more than that as he moved to Bali. Yes, that one that's featured in the film South Pacific. My guest is a fellow motivational speaker and coaches individuals and teams on how to get the best versions of themselves. He's the author of the book Success Rebellion and the host of the Success Rebellion podcast. So let's say a Bali Hi and have some happy talking with Ryan Jackson. Hello, Ryan.
Hey, Malcolm. How you doing, sir? You okay?
Excellent. It's lovely to talk to you. Now, I will just explain to viewers that you've kindly locked yourself into a 1 square meter Skype room. So you're not in some sort of Bali High prison, are you?
No, fortunately not. No. So to ensure that we can have clear communication, we're not disturbed, it made sense that I just utilize the services of a Skype room so we can have an open and honest conversation without people intruding. So yeah. It makes sense.
We don't want people listening into what we're talking, do we? Now, hello, Ryan. So now a question that my older viewers will understand. Are there really enchanted evenings in Bali? But serious, who is Ryan Jackson? What does he do? And who do you do it for?
Okay, so in regards to enchanted evenings, Bali offers whatever you want it to offer. So it's quite a magical place. Who am I? Ryan Jackson. So I'm a serial entrepreneur, author, and I guess a creator of the world that I want to see. So I've got at this moment in time, my journey has been quite transformational. So just starting off, growing up East London, Stratford. No real ambition, drive, or any real goals in life. So at 18, I was very much a bum. I was signing on, receiving £40 a week. And then I kind of fell into personal development, and that kind of kick-started my transformation. And so, a number of years on, I've founded numerous businesses. My main business, Gemini Parking Solutions, where we're the first UK values operator, and really championing change within an industry that has got a fairly notorious reputation. And so, we're doing amazing things at the moment. And I now use business as a vehicle to create change, to inspire others, to inspire my teams in order to live a more conscious and more of a life more aligned with their true purpose and their values, and so they're making a contribution as to just getting up and going to work in the morning. So trying to do some really, really amazing stuff at present.
A brilliant story. I wanted to meet you here on the BVTV Conscious Business Show as you are a true exemplar of our conscious agenda. Planet, people and profits thinking are the hallmarks in our mind of the successful business of both now and the future. How does your work help leaders see this?
So can you just repeat that last bit, please?
How does your work help leaders see the conscious agenda?
I think what a lot of people maybe take for granted or aren't even aware of is that business has shaped the landscape of the world as we know it. So the means by which I'm able to have this conversation with you today, the means to which I was able to actually get to Bali in the first place, the chair I'm sitting on, the lighting that you're utilizing now, and I can imagine you're not in a studio, so it's a green screen there. It was all possible because of business. Yeah, it was the vehicle that empowered this innovation. And so historically, business has always been, as you know, a means for people to make money, to build wealth, to accumulate revenues and profits and fortunes. And so with a shift of perspective, business can be used as a vehicle to do some amazing things, to create good in the world, as opposed to fill the needs of shareholders or of those individuals that seek more and more and greed and are driven by ego. So, through my businesses, I use it as, I'm with my teams, however many hours a day they're working for my organizations. So therefore, within that time, I don't just want them to contribute to my goals and visions. I want to empower them to have a different perspective of life. I want them to have the tools and the skills and the insight to live more empowered lives, to become conscious of how they live from day to day, how their actions have an impact on the greater world, whether it be environmentally or socially. So business, can and is being used at this present time as a vehicle to do some really amazing things and to steer the world into a more responsible way of being.
Yeah, excellent, excellent. For many years, I was in the travel business, on hospitality, and look back now, it was exciting at those times what we were doing and putting thousands of people on holidays. But did we hurt the planet? Yes. I wish we'd learned that lesson then. So what do you see as the results or gains of being a conscious business and of personal consciousness development?
I guess it's a question that I've asked myself, time and time again, and more recently it's come up because where you adopt to a more conscious perspective. Historically, the way success has always been measured is by your accumulation of wealth. So that may be how much profit that you make on an annual basis, or how many investment properties you own, or what vehicle you drive, or what watch you wear. However, as I've changed my outlook, as that shift has happened and internalized within me, my outlook on what success represents is very, very, very different now. And so from a business perspective, we're now looking at what are our social contributions. How have we empowered the lives of others? What community groups can we contribute not just money to or throw money at? Because I think, all right, money is a really powerful resource that can make a difference in a lot of people's lives. But I feel to really gain fully from the experience, time and energy and I guess love has to be given to the projects that you support. And so now as an organization, just talking about Gemini, for example, we sponsor various different projects both in the UK and abroad. So I've also got some vested interests in Thailand, for example. And so there's a few individuals that we sponsor personally through their education, right down to their day-to-day living. And so being able to directly meet these people and be able to witness and experience firsthand what your contribution is making will only push you to actually do more, because the sense of reward and the feeling the feeling of reward that you get from actually seeing what difference your contribution is making is priceless. And then coming back from those sort of experiences only urges me and pushes me to be able to want to help more people. So in answer to your question, some of the things aren't actually tangible. They're very difficult to measure, but I think it's more about what sort of fulfillment or feeling that you gain as a direct response to the contributions that you make.
Brilliant. And I love your passion. I feel it. We're thousands of miles away, but I feel it coming across. Now, where does that social consciousness come from? Did it recently evolve, or was it further back than that, and say part of your personal culture from birth?
Yeah, I think it was a part of my personal culture from birth. But unfortunately, what tends to happen is we can become very much influenced by our environments. Yeah, we're cultural programming and everything else. And so me growing up as a teenager, firstly, giving back to others who were more needy wasn't a priority, just for the fact of where I was in the world. from my perspective, I was still bottom of the food chain. And so I was trying to gain my way up. But as I've begun to achieve success, naturally, I felt the need to actually be able to give back to others who are less fortunate. And that's just really continued. And the more success I've gained, the more I'm in a position, or the greater platform I have, to actually make a positive difference to others. So I think the two definitely going hand in hand. And as entrepreneurs and business owners, I think it's your responsibility to be able to share some of that good fortune to others. And you reap what you sow. Yeah, the more seeds that you plant, the more that you actually get back. So I think there's definitely some universal laws that apply with that. But why would you not want to give back? Why would you not want to be able to positively impact the lives of other people? Having a closed mind to that, I just can't understand it. And the thing about it is, spending your money as a consumer is just, it provides you a small small chunk of let's just say upliftment. You get that quick dopamine buzz of a shopping spree, or buying a new suit or bag or trainers, whatever it may be. But as I said before, being able to see firsthand where, being able to make a huge difference to someone else's lives, those sort of memories and feelings stay with you forever. And so, I know where I get more enjoyment from spending my money, so to speak.
Yeah, we're totally with you there. Now, before I move into the next question, Ryan, and talk about Success Rebellion, I just want to remind viewers and listeners, on the screen behind me for viewers is the URL to Ryan, and it's ryanjackson.org, and you spell Ryan R-Y-A-N, ryanjackson.org for the listeners as well. Now, let's move on to talking about Success Rebellion book. What's it about, and how can it be applied?
So the Success Rebellion is, I guess, a blueprint of creating a life that you were born to live. Now, I mentioned before about cultural and social programming and becoming a victim of your environment. Unfortunately, there's a huge majority of the population are susceptible to this, and as a result, they live a life where they never reach their full potential. And so we inherently have all the gifts, the abilities, the skills, the untapped potential to live truly tremendous lives. And we all have the ability to achieve what we perceive as being success, whatever that may be, because success means different things to different people. Yeah. However, because of maybe lack of opportunities, because of the households we were brought up into, because of the negative programming that we receive from, parents, from those around us, from the TV, from the media, we live a life that is generally unfulfilling, monotonous, continuous cycles of the same. Sorry, I was going to swear then. The same stuff day to day, and we call that life. When in fact it's just a model of life, and there's many model of lives that we can live. And so the Success Rebellion just helps people to break the shackles of limitation in order to live the life that they deserve. So in the run up to the book, I interviewed some of the world's top transformational leaders and personal development gurus. You have Dr. John DeMartini, who was one of the original contributors to the best-selling book, The Secret. We also have Richard Bandler, who's the co-founder, or is the co-founder of NLP, Neuro-Linguistics Programming. We also have Bruce Lipton, who's a thought leader in the realm of epigenetics and the power of the beliefs, and also Patrick Wanis, who's a celebrity life coach and transformational leader over in the US, on some really big hitters in the world of personal development. And there is some of their contributions throughout the book as well. So really, really powerful stuff, and a definite must read for anybody who wants to level up and take their life to the next level in alignment with who they are.
So remember, Success Rebellion, ryanjackson.org. Look, Ryan, you talk a lot about the need for emotional intelligence, which, by the way, we consider as an essential trait of a conscious leader. Why do you think that emotional intelligence is needed, and what stops business leaders and managers from quickly adopting this skill?
I think emotional intelligence is needed, and for the simple purpose, and I think give it a great example of what we're going through now. Yeah, through COVID
Yeah.
19, the epidemic or lockdown, and irrespective of your viewpoint on it, on a daily basis, we are, as I said before, we're bombarded with this narrative of fear, scarcity, and so being able to navigate your way through that as a business leader is crucial. So at this point, the message that we're being told is batten the hatches, prepare for the worst. And to some extent, you have to be mindful of what's going on around you, but at the same time, that doesn't have to be your reality. And so you have to stand guard at the door of your mind. And so firstly, the need to have emotional intelligence is there because you have to be conscious of your emotions. Yeah, are you buying into this narrative, and how is that influencing or impacting your behavior? Because your emotions impact your behavior, yeah, your actions, what you do on a daily basis. So being firstly aware of how you're feeling, and then an understanding of the triggers behind that will help you see the world for what it is, if that makes sense. And so allow you to make better decisions rather than acting on impulse or emotion, when that can actually be detrimental to your business and could cause you to make the mistakes that you may not necessarily be able to come back from. So for me, I've just tried to steer my own path through this, be conscious of what's happening around me, but not buy into the emotions of the experience. So be cautious, but at the same time, you've got to understand that while everybody else is probably in a space of mitigating their losses, not really spending on growth, there's other organizations out there at the moment that are thriving. Yeah, they're maximizing the opportunity, and you have to understand that through this experience, a lot of opportunities are being presented to us, but because we've moved into a state of fear, we're not actually following them, or we're not actually taking those chances. So having a strong level of emotional intelligence will help you to do the right thing at the right time.
Yeah, I totally agree with you there, Ryan. The opportunities there. I've interviewed 250 plus leaders since the beginning of March. I've been into places like you were talking there, you could never have got, it would take me years to have got into, but suddenly that opportunity is there. So we've seized it. Others have been saying, oh, I'll just put my head under the duvet again, Now, like me, you're a very experienced motivational speaker. So we're both passionate about the motivational agenda. My belief, though, is that motivation is going through change, and that a new state is being sought by those people we are motivating. Making big money is no longer the main motivation. Do you think I'm right, or is getting loads of money still the foremost motivator? I, for example, think that knowing your purpose is now a key motivator.
I think it's definitely, it goes back to my point earlier. It really depends on what your outlook on success is, and so different strokes for different folks. But there's definitely a shift in especially in the top flight of motivational speaking. There's definitely a shift in their outlook, and they're not necessarily driven by monetary gain or the attainment of material possessions. But at the same time, you have to remember, because they're also at that point, they've achieved a lot of what they initially set out to achieve. So when you get to that point, you then start asking yourself the question, what else is there? There must be more than just new cars, big houses, a boat, a jet, if you're really, really lucky. And so then you start moving to a point of then, okay, how can I be using my life in a more purposeful way? And then I think the realization starts to come, okay, it's through giving back, it's through helping others, it's through just becoming a more conscious individual, being more mindful, and sharing that knowledge and wisdom with others. But I think it's important to add that there isn't nothing wrong in the attainment of wealth or the attainment of fortune, and we have to be conscious of what our relationship is with money as well, because at the same time, you know, we're living in a material world, and so it's about just having that balance. And in order for us to do the things that we want to do, that sometimes really gives us that sense of upliftment and that sense of joy, we need that commodity, we need that currency of money to be able to do so. And so we just have to not necessarily, we have to use it as a tool and not be enslaved by it. And I think that's kind of the difference. But me, you know, now I've got to a point in my career where I have a platform. It's now one of my big drivers is to be able to bring others up, being able to help them. But I think there's a quote, and it wouldn't necessarily be my normal reference point, but it's from Jay-Z, the rapper, and he says, you know, how can I get rich if I'm one? No, how can I help the poor if I'm one of them? Get rich and give back, then that's a win-win. And that's, you know, that's always stayed with me. So, you know, sometimes you have to elevate yourself first in order to have the knowledge and the wisdom and go through that journey in order to pull or bring others with you. So I think that's kind of where people in the motivational world are at this time, and now they've built their platforms and they can start acting more consciously.
Brilliant. Yeah, I'm going to have to look up that rapper. There's no doubt about it. Now, I'm fully with you on your thoughts around self-belief. Sadly, many people today have lost their mojo during this pandemic, and many are already following them. What do you say to these people?
I'd say go and buy the book, The Success Rebellion.
Yes.
Firstly, yeah. But no, but this is it, and we have to remember that what we're going through now is a small snippet of history. Throughout, if you used to look back throughout your life, there have been times where things have become very challenging, things have become very difficult. But guess what? You always made it through. And so we are more resilient than we choose to believe. Sometimes we believe that the world is caving in around us, and you know it's all doom and gloom. But I can guarantee it that we're going to get through it, like you have every other challenging period within your time. And on the scheme of things, it's only because we hear that continuous narrative of doom and gloom that it's been projected or exacerbated. But I've had the good fortune of being able to escape the UK, and I'm here in Bali. And I'll be honest with you, what I see in play and what I'm able to now, because I've experienced that contrast in Bali, is as if, yeah, COVID doesn't exist. In a sense of a lot of it is more psychological, and a lot of psychological oppression than anything else. And so it's been very conscious about what you buy into in regards to, you know, the media, and being conscious of the power of what the power that the media potentially has over your own thoughts and your own perspective of reality. But I'm not going to go too deep with it. But what I will say from a belief perspective that's very, very, very important is that we have to reframe the way in which we are seeing this experience. Now, a lot of people see it as I mentioned before, that it's a disaster, it's a pandemic, now that the worst thing in the world is possibly happening. Or what we can do is reframe that and see, you know, what is this experience actually teaching me? What have been the benefits of this experience? So I, for one, I'm going to talk about, you know, my example is that, so for the past, from March, where the first lockdown happened, I was in the UK. And as a result, we had to begin working remotely. Now, from a revenue perspective, yeah, we was decimated. Our revenues were down like 80% or thereabouts. However, we had a number of key sites that were still operational that managed to see us through. Now, through the experience, my team were all working remotely. Now, before that time, I'd always been quite resistant to working remotely, only because of the fact that I felt it would actually kill the company culture. How can we maintain culture if we're all in different locations across, London or wherever it may be? But what the experience showed me is that, if anything, it's brought our teams closer, because now we have the opportunity through vehicles such as Zoom or platforms such as Zoom for everyone to log in on the Monday morning huddle, where I've got, field operatives and everything else who are in Scotland and whatnot that we didn't have before. So that's amazing. That's beautiful. We're now all able to centralize and communicate via Zoom. And so if we didn't experience COVID, we wouldn't have had that opportunity. But on top of that, what it's also done is made me realize that it doesn't matter whether I'm in the UK working from home or if I'm in Bali or working from home. The technology that we're now using enables me to manage my teams in the same manner. So geographical location or the territory that I'm in is irrelevant. So now that's open opportunity for me to now bring me and my family to an amazing place whereby the lifestyle is unbelievable. We're not in lockdown and we're just living an incredible life. And it's something that I've always had as a part of my, my goals, to be able to live in a tropical climate where it fulfills me on many, many levels. But if it hadn't been for COVID-19 or the pandemic, it's likely that I wouldn't have had that experience.
Yeah,
On top of that,
it's brilliant. I'm the same. I was doing 20,000 plus miles driving a year, going and presenting workshops and so on. I was absolutely getting, as you say, cream crackered. And now I'm doing it all from home, and I'm meeting people like you, thousands of miles away. I would have had to fly in with a camera and everything to see you in the past. Now it's a world, isn't it? So I say to people, get a piece of paper, draw a line down on the right hand side, put the downs, all the things you think is down about it, and then start to think about the ups on the other side. And, there are some terrific ups. Now, I'm always a half full person, and my wife is usually half empty, though she'd deny it, of course. I suppose between us, we've got a full bottle, but many don't have a healthy mindset and they lack optimism. And it's understandable at the moment, as we've just been discussing, but not good in the long term. How should you go about developing a healthy mindset?
There's a famous quote, and that is, "We are what we repeatedly do." So as humans, we're habitual in nature. So we consciously have to cultivate a positive mindset. Luckily, some people are just born with it. However, for a number of people, they may have their default setting maybe from a place of, pessimism or negativity or scarcity. So it is doing the right things on a daily basis to be able to cultivate the correct mindset that will bring them into a place of positivity. So, like, a lot of the time it is down to, what are your habits? What are your daily rituals? What's your morning routine? And by consciously building a routine that will provoke, I think more than anything, it's an outlook, it's a perspective, is what you created. So it is just developing or integrating the right habits, the right morning routines, the right rituals, the right actions on a daily basis. Yeah, which then equates to, weekly patterns will start creating the positive brain patterns, neurological pathways that will start influencing your beliefs, and then as a result will influence the way in which you see the world. So it does boil down to, quite literally, what you do on a daily basis. And so
I'm with you. I'm totally with you. Go on. Yeah, carry on.
Yeah, so it's that, and I talk about that quite extensively within my book. The power of rituals, the power of routines, and is one example I give. A lot of people are very unconscious to the rituals that they subscribe to. So I'll give you an example. Some people want to lose, their goal may be to lose weight, but yet they've subscribed to a ritual of having dessert after dinner. Yeah. And so that is contradictory to the goal that you want. So it's being mindful as to what your daily habits are, what your rituals are. So it's just firstly becoming aware of it, because at the moment that you become aware and it comes into your awareness, you can then make a conscious decision to make that change and replace one habit with another. Because beliefs, you can't eradicate a belief, you simply have to replace it. And so by developing the right actions and developing the right thoughts daily will then start leading to a changing or a shift in your beliefs that will then start to affect your behaviors and your actions, and ultimately how you see the world.
Brilliant, brilliant. I'm a late arrival to morning affirmations, but since I've adopted that, I'm feeling better. And I, as you say, can wish away the pandemics. And talking about wishes, Ryan, I like to give all my guests 3 wishes. I'm giving you 3 wishes as to what anyone needing to be more productive and successful in this, we're calling it an altered world, in this altered world should be thinking about doing. What's your 3 wishes?
3 wishes is to do, the first one would be to do a lot more inner work. And when I mean inner work, you start to look about some of the things that we spoke about today. Start looking internally, start working on yourself, start working on, self-education, start becoming more consciously aware of who you are, what your motivators are, what influences you, why you do what you do, why you are the way that you are, becoming more conscious, becoming more self-aware. The second wish I would say would be, no, that's the only wish I have. I only want one wish. I'm not greedy, Malcolm. One wish. Because out of that, all my other wishes that I may have will be granted. So I think that is the one thing we just need to become more self-aware. And then when we start gaining more understanding and more knowledge about the self, then anything else will evolve naturally. But it's because of our ignorance and a lack of knowledge of self is why the world is probably in the state that it's currently in. So only through learning about self can we start to unpin and uncover the rest of the issues that are out there.
Hey, Ryan, that's a great example of your giving back, just taking one wish.
Just one wish. Yeah,
That's one wish.
Pass the other 2 to somebody else. To your next.
It's lovely. Now, before I finish, I just want again to remind viewers and listeners of your URL to go and find out about the book Success Rebellion, but also you've got a podcast, Success Rebellion. So go to Ryan Jackson, RYAN, ryanjackson.org. Ryan Jackson, I thank you again for some, well, let's call it Bali happy talking. Thank you very much indeed.
Makasi.